Welcome, 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 welcome all. And has it set in yet? Has it set in yet? Juan Soto officially has been a New York Met for 24 hours. I know the contract's not, everything's not signed yet, but technically Juan Soto has been a Met for over 24 hours. And the reaction, oh my God, the reaction to Juan Soto being a Met, honestly, is almost just as entertaining. It's almost just as entertaining. So in this live stream, we're going to go over some of the ridiculous reaction to Juan Soto becoming a New York Met. Oh my God. Oh my God. And honestly, I usually drink my iced tea, but I got my iced tea. This is a toast to all you Mets fans. Juan Soto, being a New York Mets, got a toast to that, to Mets Nation. Why not? Iced tea tastes so much better out of a plastic champagne glass when Juan Soto is a New York Met. Shoot, almost spilled that. Oh my God, I'm feeling good, folks. I am feeling good right now. Just worked, pretty decent shift, but you know what? I can't go to bed. I didn't go to bed all last night. I did a video 4 o'clock in the morning. I probably slept like 2 or 3 hours. So I got home a little while ago, but all day today, I listened to Michael K for a couple hours just because he had on Jeff Passan, he had on John Heyman, he had on Andy Martino. So basically, what Michael K and what a lot of Yankee fans are trying to figure out is, why did Juan Soto pick the New York Mets? Why? And it seems like, take this off. It seems like most Yankee fans, just to make themselves feel better, they want to believe that the sole reason that Juan Soto ended up choosing the Mets was money. If you suggest it was anything else, it is offensive. Jeff Passan went on with Michael K today, and he suggested many reasons why the Mets were the number one choice for Juan Soto. And Michael K and him, anybody who didn't see that interview, go check it out. It is entertaining. Jeff Passan was feeding Michael K facts why Juan Soto would like to play with the New York Mets. It was just fascinating. So I'm going to go through that. I'm also going to go through, there's just so many fascinating stories about the security guards mistreating the family of Juan Soto, about Juan Soto not getting a suite from the Yankees. There are so many things for us to unpack. It is just like unreal. And then if you go to the timeline, I find the timeline fascinating. Richard, what's up tonight? I slept till 1 p.m. I had to mute that idiot. Well, I think he's only on for a couple more days, at least at 3 o'clock. But yeah, so the timeline. So apparently, and this is according to Mad Dog, Chris Russo, this is according to Andy Martino. As of Friday, apparently the Mets had a meeting with Juan Soto, his camp, Scott Boras, and it didn't go well. It did not go well. Friday went, the Mets had a meeting, and Juan Soto wasn't on the Mets' radar, in terms of, them believing that Juan Soto would choose the Mets. Saturday went by, then Sunday went by, and as Sunday was progressing, it was believed that the Yankees would sign Juan Soto. The day was progressing. I think the initial contract was 15 years, $710 million by the Yankees. Then they upped it to 16 years, $760 million. Then at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Scott Boras gave Steve Cohen a call. And at that time, Steve Cohen, David Stearns, they're resigning to the fact that Juan Soto's going back to the Yankees. But Scott Boras goes, you know what? You guys have a chance. Make your final offer. So that's when, Steve Cohen says, here, this is our next offer. We're going to raise it to 15 years, $765 million. Okay. Then Boris took that offer and said, hey, the Mets just went $5 million more than you. What's your next offer? Yankees at that point said, we are done. We are done. That's it. It's a similar offer. We're not going to make a higher offer. So basically, the Yankees refused to match that $5 million offer. So, the Mets had a little higher offer. Juan Soto chose to go to the New York Mets. But today, a lot more is coming out. A lot more is coming out. Like I said, Jeff Passan is actually, he was giving some truth bombs on the radio today. Let me get you the details of what he said. So this is according to Passan. Passan goes, I think Juan Soto looked at the New York Mets future and believed that the Mets have a better future than the Yankees. He goes that the $5 million difference, in his opinion, was negligible. So he goes, the Yankees had a $760 million offer, only $5 million more spread out over 16 years. It wasn't huge. It wasn't a huge difference. I think in the end, Juan Soto looked at the Mets' future, looked at the Yankees' future. He believed that the Mets have a better future than the Yankees, which is, obviously, wild to think. But with Steve Cohen, David Stearns, and the way this team is going, it's true. It's true. Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone. It's just basically the same old failure every year. Every year, 27 championships. They haven't won a championship since 2009, and they've won one championship in almost 2.5 decades. So you can't feed me that the Yankees are the Yankees. They're not the Yankees anymore. The Mets are the new kings. They are the kings of New York City right now. Folks, we were debating last year David Stearns taking over this team, small market philosophy. No, nobody could say small market philosophy anymore. I don't want to hear it. We just gave out the largest contract in baseball history. You can no longer say David Stearns and the Mets are operating on a small market philosophy. Last year was part of the plan. We pulled back. We weren't investing in any long-term contract just so that we can gear up and target Mr. Juan Soto. I mean, think about it. From the Wilpon owned team in 2019 to Steve Cohen buying this team 4 years ago, turning this organization into a team that Juan Soto actually wants to play with. It is just phenomenal. And I was looking at a couple old Steve Cohen interviews, and they asked Steve Cohen, why do you want to be the owner of the New York Mets? It looks like you're losing money. And he goes, it's a philanthropic venture. Philanthropic. He wants to make millions of people happy. And that's what he says. I want to make millions of folks happy. And that is what he did. Mets Nation was on fire last night. Everybody was happy. I mean, Steve Cohen is doing it. He is in it to win it. I mean, little brother, I don't want to hear little brother anymore. Little brother is a coping mechanism for these disgruntled Yankee fans. That's what it is. It's a coping mechanism. Oh, 27 World Championship. Most of these kids weren't even alive for the championships, except in maybe 2009. It was decades ago. Decades. So at the end of the day, the Mets' future is extremely bright. And again, another toast. And again, this is iced tea, non-alcoholic iced tea, for anybody wondering. Let me say hello to everybody. Richard, we already did say hello before. Hopefully, you're having a good day, just like last night. Daniel, what is going on? Explosive, my guy. Hopefully, you're having a great day. Thank you for the great stuff that you sent me the last couple of days. I loved it. Thank you. And just so you know, literally all those, the guy who supposedly said those things about the contracts and, Juan Soto signing today, him saying he had an inside source. I actually messaged that guy on X. I messaged him. I had a conversation. I said, hey, you know what? How legit is this? Do you have extra commentary? But, he pretended to that he had extra or inside information. But I don't know. I think there was a self-imposed deadline. That's why this Sunday thing kind of happened. Jays, yeah, Mets gave him a $75 million bonus. If you break down the contract, everything the Mets did was superior. Everything was superior, right? So the Yankees, they had the advantage. They had the advantage all along, right? Andy Martino, all the insiders said the last couple of days, the Yankees had the advantage, right? So Steve Cohen comes like a bandit in the night, throws a $75 million signing bonus. Then he gets creative. After the fifth year, you got that escalator that can take the contract up to over $800 million. I mean, the Mets, you gotta give them credit. I mean, this is this is a no little brother move. He's showing you this is the king move. This is the king move. I mean, I love the creativity. I love the escalators in the thing. I love how, they took a lot of factors into consideration. Now, let's get into some details about the process that I found very interesting. So today, when doing research and trying to kind of get more information, I learned about some more issues. I knew Juan Soto wasn't happy with the Yankees, right? His I believe it was his cousin saying that Juan Soto had issues with the Yankees. It was in the news. It was in the news. He said it multiple times that Juan had issues with the Yankees and he was unhappy with the Yankees. We already know that Hal Steinbrenner didn't have that relationship. Now today, more news is breaking. Now you hear that on multiple instances, there was a run-in between the family of Juan Soto and security and the personal chef of Juan Soto and security. On multiple occasions, they restricted access to certain areas and they were very tough on his family. I'm telling you, this happened multiple times, and I'm pretty sure when it initially happened, maybe Juan Soto's like, okay, let's see how we can fix this. But the response to these issues was unacceptable. Juan Soto apparently is a family man. He lives with his mother. He lives with his family. It means a lot to him for his family to be treated with respect. They were not. They were not treated with respect. And whether you think it's a money issue where Juan Soto was going to the Mets because they offered $5 million more, no, there was more. There's more. You could tell even in the press conferences, you always saw his body English, his body language when they asked him about being a Yankee for life. You could tell the guy wasn't happy. In his post-game press conferences after the World Series, after certain, big moments, he never seemed happy to be a Yankee. That's my opinion. And the $5 million differential, although the Mets were creative, if he wanted to be a Yankee, it wasn't that big of a deal. I know it was decent money, but still, you always heard that if it was close, he would go to the Yankees. But he didn't. He didn't. So I think these issues were real. I blame Hal Steinbrenner. I'm sorry. I scratch that. I thank Hal Steinbrenner. I thank the security of the Yankees. I thank that everybody who screwed up at Yankee Stadium. I thank you. Thank you for screwing up. I appreciate it. So what the Mets did, they knew there was an issue with Juan Soto's family and how he was treated. So in the meetings with Juan Soto, you want to know who they included? They included the traveling secretary who takes care of the player's family. They included that in the meetings with Juan Soto. That was ingenious by Steve Cohen. He was playing chess, playing chess. So honestly, even though it was believed the whole weekend that the Yankees had the upper edge or that they had the upper hand, I believe Juan Soto in the back of his mind always was going to tell Boris, hey, call Steve Cohen, see what the best offer he can do. And that's why I think at the end of the day, it wasn't that big of a difference. It really wasn't that big of a difference. Just on paper, he's like, Steve, you got to beat this number. You got to beat this number. And he did, but it was fairly similar. There were other issues at play here. He did not want to be a Yankee, and you cannot say this to Yankee fans. They cannot bear it. They cannot bear it. They have to say, it's Marty, the any team. If the Marlins gave him $800 million, he would have went to the Marlins. If the Reds gave him $800 million, that's the only thing. The Yankee fans can't bear it that they got slapped in the face, left at the altar for the New York Mets. If you look at all these reaction videos from Yankee fans, it is ridiculous. It is insane. Like they don't. I mean, I don't know if they watched the Mets in the last couple of years. I don't know if they realize that Steve Cohen is the new owner, that David Stearns is the new president slash baseball operation. I don't know if they realize how much change happened in the last couple of years because it's just so uninformed. All right. Scott, yeah, I love it. Still smiling ear to ear. Today was so much better. Right now I'm living in Florida. I just moved from New York last year, and all I'm doing is telling everybody. I'm like, are you a Mets? I mean, are you a baseball fan? I'm asking everybody. Everybody. Not many people down here are baseball fans. I don't get it. Richard, let's see. Okay, so we're gonna get into the next move momentarily. I just want to hit on a couple more Juan Soto points. There's Sean Manaea news out there. Sean Manaea apparently, him and the Mets are interested in coming back a reunion, and honestly, I like that. I like that. I say this over and over and over again. I want players who are talented. I want players who have been successful in New York, and I want players who have been successful in the playoffs. Manaea has last year. I'm telling you, like he really passed a lot of tests and really opened a lot of eyes. So the contract that I saw, the estimated contract for a guy like Manaea, they had him at 5 years, $90 million. I think that's going to be too low. In fact, when I saw that the $90 million was the figure, I was like, oh, it's going to be a 3-year contract, $90 million, or even a 4-year contract. I think he's going to be making anywhere from $25 to $30 million, maybe $28 million. That's going to be the sweet spot. So if you pay him over a 4-year period, and I think he's going to get 4 years, folks. I mean, you're looking at 4 years, $110 million. 4 years, $110 million. I mean, that's based on the inflated pitching market. If Severino got 3 years, 67, Manaea might get 4 years, 110. And I'm just basing that on where the market is. Before the free agency started, I had him pegged at 3 years, $75 million. And that was my max. That kind of replicated the Sonny Gray contract from last year. So, I mean, I want Manaea. I really want Manaea. But I'm wondering at that price, at about a $27-28 million price point over 4 years, how many of us are willing to dole out that contract? He's 30. He's going to be 33 years old. I believe. Let me see if he's going to be 32 or 33 at the season. I think he's going to be 33. So Sean Manaea is okay. Well, okay. So Sean Manaea is born in February 1st. So he's going to be 33 years old when opening day comes. So if you sign him to a 4-year contract, you're essentially signing him age 33, age 34, age 35, and age 36. So through his age 36 season. And, I'm just estimated 4-year contract, but if the market gets so crazy, this thing could go to 5 years, 140. I mean, if it goes like that, to me, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. I actually, you know what? It's already out of my comfort zone. My comfort zone was 3 years, 75 million. 3 years, 75 million. No more than 25 million a year. No more than 3 years. That was what I was comfortable with. But I can't see him only getting $8 million more than Severino. So I gotta assume that his value right now is extremely elevated. That's funny. If I was the Yankees, I would have gotten a personal chef for Soto chef. Yeah. Honestly, if I were the Yankees, I would have done things so differently. I don't understand how they treated Soto so coldly. So coldly. They knew that Soto was a family man. They knew that Soto wanted to have a relationship with the owner. They treated Soto, very badly, in my opinion. Very badly. You have Yankee Nation, and for the most part, Yankee Nation has this point, this take. They are happy with Hal Steinbrenner. They are happy with Hal Steinbrenner because he went to $760 million. This is my take. My take, if I was a Yankee fan, I would be extremely agitated and angry at Hal Steinbrenner. And the only reason I think he went the extra mile is, number one, they made the trade for him, right? They made the trade. So now they're looking like they had egg on their face. And number two, Hal Steinbrenner knows that he mistreated and ignored Juan Soto. So in a way, there's a little bit of guilt there. So that's why he's elevating the offer. But Hal Steinbrenner, am I going to clap hands because he came in second place? No. Hal Steinbrenner and the Yankees, they lost. They lost to the New York Mets. We won. We won. So, that's just plain and simple. And the New York Mets are set up in such a good position right now. Okay, I'll admit this. We have to work on pitching, but the philosophy of David Stearns, the Brewers, is they don't pay a lot for pitching. He's never paid for a lot for pitching. And you saw last year, folks. You saw last year what the David Stearns whole philosophy is and what he does. Sean Manaea, Luis Severino, even David Peterson. David Peterson, right before your eyes. David Peterson had the best 2.5 months ever out of his whole career. He had it last season. Every single pitcher was having their best stretch. Even Quintana from August 25th until the second round of the playoffs, that guy was like an elite pitcher. The only guy we didn't really get to see, except for those 5 innings in Atlanta, was Kodai Senga, and Senga was hurt. I fully expect if Senga's healthy, he's going to pitch at a high level. Now, there is one problem. Even if we sign Manaea, even if Senga's healthy, even if Clay Holmes is decent, there's one problem, folks. The biggest problem, and that exists right now as we stand, even if we sign a Sean Manaea, the problem is we will still not have an ace. An ace. As good as Manaea is, as good as Senga is, I'm looking to compete with teams like the Dodgers. We don't have an ace. We don't have an ace. I mean, in the back of my head, what I would like to happen is a guy like, Sproat, our number one pitching prospect. I think he has all the potential in the world. Is it too much? I expect him to come up at some point, but is it too much to expect him to come up and be an ace right away? I think it is a little too much to expect. So I think that David Stearns, whether by trade or somehow make some, magic, you get paid $11 million a year. We need some pitcher who is capable, even if they're not an ace right now, somebody who is capable of being an ace. Is somebody you get them at like a value price? Is that somebody maybe a Walker Buehler? Does Walker Buehler, can he turn back the clock? I know he's been injured. Is that a guy who has ace potential? He's a guy who has been very successful in the postseason. Last year, besides the World Series, besides the last game against the Mets, he didn't look that great. He did not look that great against the Padres in that playoff series. He didn't look that great at the end of the year. But is Walker Buehler a guy that David Stearns identifies saying, you know what? If Walker tweaks this, tweaks that, he's a guy who has ace potential. And he's a guy that we will not pay like an ace, because that's the thing that Steve Cohen and it seems like David Stearns has identified. They do not, I repeat, do not want to pay an ace. And I'm hoping it changes. I'm Corbin Burnes is a guy that I would love, but based on all the current reporting, it doesn't seem like, they would invest that type of money and that type of player. And also, what I found like really interesting today? You hear like the Yankees, their brain is going all over the place. They're interested in Corbin Burnes. They're interested in Santander. Sorry, I have trouble saying that word. But they're interested in a whole bevy of different players. Teoscar Hernandez, I didn't even check if he signed, but they're interested in everybody across the board. And now that lies the problem. That is why our New York Mets, I wanted so badly to secure Juan Soto, because there's nobody that is close to replicating his production. Nobody. And I'm going to repeat this all year. And I can't believe I'm saying it. All year, and we get the luxury and the benefit of watching Juan Soto each and every day. Oh, my God. I still cannot wait. Juan Soto, you're going to see how much of an impact he has. Guy in front of him, guy in back of him. In fact, you're going to see that pitchers will pitch players differently, 2-3 batters in front of them, just because they are wary of facing Mr. Juan Soto. And then Francisco Lindor. I mean, we have such a great opportunity. Oh, my God. But Juan Soto is the key, folks. Juan Soto is the key. Oh, shoot. Pin this. Tio, I got to say, thank you so much. Just got your $5 donation. I just subbed. Keep up the good work. Thank you, my friend. Welcome. I hope you enjoy. But again, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Okay. And just so you know, Joey is, he's the resident Yankee fan. So, Joey obviously is not going to be feeling that great today. And you know what's pretty interesting? The Blue Jays apparently, and I'm not sure if this is confirmed. I think I heard this. I don't know if Heyman mentioned it, but the Blue Jays were at $760 million. That they were around there, and the Red Sox, they were in the low 700 million. I mean, this was nuts. This was nuts, folks. And for Steve Cohen and the New York Mets to come out on top, it is a credit. It's really a credit to this organization, because it just wasn't all about the money. If you have the Yankees at 760, the Blue Jays at 760, and the Mets at 765, it's not all about the money. There were other factors in play. Sergeant Hayes, you're right. Joey needs to watch a Yankee streamer. I'll be honest. If you're watching a Yankee streamer, I'm pretty sure it's pretty depressing. So, I mean, the guy probably wants a little bit of positivity, cause a little bit of mayhem. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, probably bored. All right. Okay, so the next topic conversation. Okay, Sean Manaea, I'm pretty sure we are all on board. We want Sean Manaea, right? That's the gauge I get from most Mets fans. Now, the thing is, how much? How much? And I'm telling you, my perspective, I think it's going to be between 25 and 27 million dollars, probably about 26, 27 million dollars. It's going to be over a 4 or 5 year contract. 4 or 5 year contract. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 4 year, $110 million contract, or a 5 year and 5 year, around $140 million contract. I mean, like these figures, I'm computing in my head. I'm like, wow, Sean Manaea, 33 years old. If it gets to that level, I'm wondering how many of us would want to do it. Me, like, that's where I get a little shaky. Yeah, Richard. Yeah, you go. I wouldn't give Manaea that much. Yeah, my max was 3 year, 25 million. If you want to give him more years and less average annual value, then I might explore it. So, like, if you want to give him 4 years and 90 million, maybe that would be my cap. Maybe that's what I would do. If I want to give him an extra year, then the average annual value would have to come down. That's what I would do. So, if you compare him to Luis Severino, he gets almost an extra $25 million more. And, that seems to be, fair, because we got to remember, Sean Manaea had just one really, okay, maybe he had 2 good years, but his best year was last year. In fact, his best pitching performance were his last 3 months, his last 2.5 months. That's also a good thing too, because he's figured out a couple of things. The sidearm Chris Sale delivery really seemed to work for Manaea. But I worry about the age. I worry about the mechanics. But at this stage, if you're going to go full throttle, you got to be in it to win it. And this is where a guy like David Stearns has to have a couple of depth options. I said in the beginning of this process, we need at least 4 starting pitchers. At least four. When we started this thing, we had Blackburn, coming off an injury, Sanger coming off an injury, Peterson, and McGill. So essentially, who do we have? Maybe one pitcher. I'll say we have one reliable pitcher out of all those options. So that's why I said we need at least 4 starting pitchers you bring it on. And if you bring on Holmes and now you bring on Montas, and I wasn't crazy about that one, but that's besides the fact. But if you bring on a Manaea, I still think you have to bring that ace, like I said. Okay, so next topic of conversation, we have Mr. Pete Alonso. Now, Pete Alonso's situation is very, very interesting. They spoke to David Stearns today, and they asked David Stearns about signing Pete Alonso. And they said, does the signing of Juan Soto, does that affect your ability to sign a Pete Alonso? And, the answer, I love the answer. The answer, basically, he gives credit to Steve Cohen and this ownership group, and basically saying this ownership group gives him the ability to make a guy like Pete Alonso in play. So his response also went on to say is that he would love to sign a guy like Pete Alonso. So it looks like there is very much interest, and Pete Alonso already has made it known. He's already made it known that he will, any deal he gets, he will bring back to the New York Mets to see if they match. So I think there's a very good back and forth, very good communication. And I honestly, folks, last year I wasn't really on the bandwagon 100%. But seeing what Pete did in the playoffs, seeing that we got Juan Soto, and this is what I expect. Juan Soto will make players around him better. If you have the most patient hitter in all of baseball. What was one of Pete's problems? He wasn't patient. He was chasing that pitch 2 feet outside. Now, if you got one of the most patient hitters in all of baseball hitting before you, right? How they do the lineup, we're gonna get into that probably in the next couple of weeks. But let's just say he hits before him in the lineup. That's gonna rub off on Pete. That batting approach, that technique, and that's what happened. And also, Pete's going to get better pitches. Pete's going because Juan Soto's going to work the pitcher. He is going to work the pitcher. By the time the pitcher gets to Pete Alonso, this is going to be a gauntlet. The lineup is going to be a gauntlet. Go to Lindor, you go through Soto, you go through Vientos, you go through Nimmo. These guys take pitches. These guys are patient. Then you go to Alonso, then Alvarez. I expect him to take a step up. Then you got the young kids, Acuna, McNeil. This is going to be a fun lineup to watch. Going to put a lot of constant pressure. And getting a power hitter like Alonso, who is homegrown, I feel Alonso's going to get better. I feel he's going to be more patient because all the pressure in the world will be off Alonso. I felt this year, whether you believe it or not, the contract, I think, put a little pressure on him, or a lot of pressure on him. And he was thinking about it. He was thinking about it all year, and that caused him to press. But when the situation was at, when our backs were against the wall, Pete Alonso came through. And if you saw his approach in the playoffs, what was his approach in the playoffs? He completely changed his approach in the playoffs. He was going opposite field. He was going up the middle. He wasn't swinging for the fences. And that is the Pete Alonso who is going to be the best version of himself. Because if he starts mastering the outside part of the plate, he starts going opposite field, he starts being more patient, you're going to see Pete Alonso transform into that next level player, into the player that Pete could have always been. Not many players in baseball have the ability to go oppo hit. Pete can hit 20 home runs oppo if he wanted to. He can hit the ball out of any park in all of Major League Baseball. This guy's got abilities that most players don't have. So that's why I want Pete. I expect Pete to be better. I expect Pete to be happy to come back. How would you not want to join this? Pete's a homegrown Met. He sees what the Mets are building. I'm pretty sure Pete takes pride in that. I'm pretty sure Pete would want to be a part of that. You know what? Let's do this right now. So, explosive. You said maybe Nimmo behind Pete or McNeil, Sergeant Hayes, Lindor, Nimmo, Soto, Pete, and Vientos. Okay. It seems like the way MLB is going, the best hitter is always hitting second, right? And that doesn't necessarily have to be, but let's just say you do this. Let's say you do Lindor. Lindor's a switch hitter. And also a lot of times you want to do lefty, righty. So maybe that might affect maybe if you want to put Soto second or third. So Sergeant Hayes, you have Lindor first, Nimmo second, Soto third, Pete fourth, Vientos fifth. See, I'm not saying that's bad, but everybody these days are obsessed with making sure that it's lefty righty. So if you have Nimmo and Soto back to back, that's lefty. And then if you have Pete and Vientos, that's righty. So that's the perfect top five. That will be the top five. But maybe just switching a couple guys around. Maybe you do Lindor, Soto, Vientos, Nimmo, and Pete. I don't know if you want Nimmo batting fourth, so that probably wouldn't work. So it's a fun problem to have. It's a fun problem to have. It's a really fun problem to have. I'm pretty sure the Mets are going to look at analytics. They're going to look at numbers, and I know they're going to want to get Soto up the most times as possible. So I can almost guarantee you right now, it's December 12th, 1:11 in the AM. I can guarantee you that a couple things will happen. Francisco Lindor, I'm pretty sure after all his great success, almost winning the MVP last year, he's going to bat an Alito spot. And I can almost guarantee you that Juan Soto, the guy that you want in many situations, is going to be batting second. You want to have Juan Soto get as many at-bats as possible throughout the year. So if you bat him second as opposed to third, that might equate to 40, 50 extra at-bats throughout the whole year. Those at-bats may be extremely consequential. So you're going to want to have him too. How you have 3, 4, 5, that's going to be, for Stearns and Mendoza to kind of figure out, because any iteration that you do, Nimmo, Alonso, Vientos, it'll be good. I kind of want to have Vientos, higher up. I don't want to have him fifth. Alonso, just because of the season he's coming off of, I want him to kind of, earn his time, the way I'm thinking, I would have to have Nimmo fourth. But this is what I would do. I'll just go with what I'm thinking. Lindor first, Soto second, Vientos third, Nimmo fourth, and Pete fifth. And then see how it rolls, see how it plays out, and you can kind of tweak and change things up. And then also too, for some reason, I'm kind of expecting the Mets to pick up another bat. I'm not sure if it's going to be a center fielder. I know they already got Jose Siri, but the offense in center field, I'm not really sure. I think we could. I think we might be able to get an upgrade. So if there's an option that we can, trade, and I proposed a couple of trades earlier in the season. But if we can improve, the bat at center field, that would also be, an optimal approach as well. One thing I'm going to get to in a moment. So the Mets are interested in Jonathan Loizaga. And I find this so interesting. I find this really so interesting. So they interested in Jonathan Loizaga. He pitched for the New York Yankees. He's had success. He's had success as his time as a Yankee. Very productive pitcher. I think he did well. But what I find really interesting? I find so interesting that the Mets, whether it's coaches, whether it's managers, whether it's players, we are poaching so many components from the New York Yankees. So many components in the last couple of years. Like every single, couple months, you hear another coach or a player. Anybody we want from the New York Yankees, it seems like the Mets can acquire. And just like, you hear little brother. No, we do whatever we want. This is what I like. I like Steve Cohen stepping all over the Yankees. We want your third base coach? No, we don't, Luis Rojas. But, if we want your bench coach, we'll take your bench coach. We want your setup guy or former closer, we'll take your closer. We want your star right fielder, Juan Soto. We're going to take your star right fielder, Juan Soto. Steve Cohen and the New York Mets. This is the amazing part about it. Anybody we want, we will take. And that's why every time I hear a report, oh, we're going after another free agent that's from the Yankees, or we're getting another coach that's from the Yankees, to me, it's all about it's all about the mentality that the Mets have. Like, they don't give a damn. Whatever move they can make that they feel will make them a better team, a better franchise, a better organization, regardless, at this point, they will do. When Steve Cohen initially bought this team, it felt like he was tiptoeing, wasn't spending a lot, that god-awful amount of money, wasn't trying to step on anybody's toes, put Sandy Alderson there. He's a long-time executive. good old Sandy. He's not going to overpay, work with the Athletics. He was the guy who complained about the Alex Rodriguez contract. Good old Sandy working for Steve Cohen. It'll be fine. But Sandy, out the door. Obviously we had our issues with general managers, and for the longest time we were looking for that perfect president of baseball operations, and it just wasn't there. It wasn't there. We hired a couple of GMs. We had issues. Billy Epler put us in. I still, I hate the moves Billy Epler made, but that's besides the point. We got our guy now. And we are constantly improving every aspect of this organization. Juan Soto, you say it's about the money, but the Mets are doing things always. The philosophy is any move, even if it's 200 moves, and if they're little tiny moves that improve us incrementally, that's how you get better, overall in a huge way. So that's the approach. That's the mentality. And you got to love it if you're a Mets fan. You got to love it. And I don't want to hear the small market mentality. I don't. I heard it all last year. But the thing is, you had to know what the Mets were doing. They didn't want to secure any long-term contract so that they could go after Juan Soto. Chazin, McNeil will be traded for a starter. Well, I mean, it really kind of depends. It really depends. You heard in the last couple of weeks that the Yankees, that McNeil would be the perfect Yankee. Him in Yankee Stadium could pop 25 home runs, and McNeil's a guy who I'm pretty sure would enjoy that short porch and right, and he probably could have a lot of potential in Yankee Stadium. But the thing is, if you make a trade with the New York Yankees, the Mets don't need to do that, right? So if the Mets executed a trade with the New York Yankees, their return would need to be they would need to get a lot better return. So, it would have to be a lopsided trade. It would really have to be a lopsided trade. The return you get from the Yankees would have to be a very good return, because you don't need to trade with the Yankees. The Yankees, they need McNeil more than the Mets need to trade with the Yankees. We can trade with whatever. But so if you're trading McNeil for a starting pitcher, it just really depends on who you're getting back. It depends on how much money we have to eat. McNeil has a very value contract. So, but yeah, I'd be willing to definitely explore that. I'm definitely willing to move on from the Squirrel. We got so much young blood, and McNeil, in my opinion, he's replaceable. He is replaceable. So I would definitely explore that if the right trade came along. But I'm not giving anybody away. I'm not giving anybody away. David Stearns utilizing all of his assets, playing chess, and that's what he's going to continue to do. Luis Castillo. Well, I mean, I would certainly, if McNeil, and that's interesting because I know Seattle has always been interested in a guy like McNeil. They were interested, years ago in the Robbie Cano trade, but obviously McNeil 5-6 years ago was a lot younger, so I'm not sure what the interest level would be now. But if they had any interest, I would definitely explore a McNeil Luis Castillo trade. I don't know how the Mariners would feel about that, but that would definitely be very intriguing. Let me see how much. So Castillo, he's going to be 32 years old. I mean, see, that's interesting. Remember, like I said, and very good point for bringing this up, because I said 20 minutes ago, we don't have an ace. We don't have an ace. So you either have to sign or find an ace, or you have to trade for somebody who's not an ace, but you think they have the potential to be an ace. So if Luis, and Luis Castillo, he kind of fits that bill. He does. He kind of fits that bill. He's got potential. Last year he was solid, not great, 11-12, 3.64 ERA. So he was pretty solid. I'm going to check his baseball savant. I want to see. I just think you would have to give up prospects as well. Let me check out the contract. So, I mean, in this day and age, he signed for the next, well, at least the next 3 years at $24 million. $24 million. So, I mean, that's not a bad contract for a pitcher. Not a bad contract. We already spoke that Mania looks like he's going to get more than $24 million. So, I mean, that's not bad value there. Not bad value. So the contract is pretty fair. And he signed for 3 more years. I'm just like looking at a couple of things. A lot of these guys, like Luis Castillo in 2020, he was a guy, he had an average fastball velocity of 97.4, 97.3. Now his average fastball velocity is 95.6. So he's lost a couple of ticks on the fastball, but that necessarily doesn't mean everything. That's not everything. These pitchers are, a lot of pitchers are good at adapting. He's got a four-seam fastball. He's got a slider, a sinker, and a changeup. Like I said, he lost a couple miles per hour on the fastball. And it looks like, yeah, I mean, Luis Castillo, he's a guy who's definitely regressed in the last couple of years. He has definitely regressed, but I think he's a guy still with a lot of potential. So that's a good one. That is a really good one. That's a good guy. I would definitely explore that trade possibility. One of the things that I'm noticing is Luis Castillo, when he was 4 or 5 years ago, when he had the great fastball, he had a ground ball rate of 94 in the 94th percentile. 94th percentile. As of last year, he had a ground ball rate in the 43rd percentile. So if the Mets can identify why he's not inducing as many ground balls, that's something that can help out with the Mets defense. Lindor, that getting ground balls will be pretty good. His Another thing I always look at is walk rate. Like, how's the walk rate? The walk rate for Castillo is not bad. He's like in the 75th percentile on average. So, he's a good option. That's a good option. That's a good suggestion. I like that. 1:30 in the morning, great suggestion. Um I told Wardy also that Crochet hasn't pitched a full season as a starting pitcher, and he disagreed with me. Thought we should trade a ton to get him. Completely disagree. So, I mean, I'm on the fence with that. I mean, I think that if we're going all in and we just got Soto and we're spending $800 million and Lindor's in his prime, Nimmo's in his prime, I'm not a I go back and forth. I think that you gotta sometimes see what the package is. What I would do is see what the package is. Explore everything. You always explore everything, especially for a guy like Crochet, especially when the Chicago White Sox are supposedly looking for position players. What do the Mets have a lot of? Position players. Lindor, he's going to be blocking shortstop for the next 7, 8 years. If you believe in Acuna, he might block second base. You already got Vientos at third base. So a lot of these infield prospects, just by virtue of you having these spots blocked off, you could explore, putting a couple in a package. Now, you may think, hey, I want to, keep these guys, maybe for a better position player or for a better player. That's one thing. But a guy like Garrett Crochet, he's 26 years old. The guy throws 100 miles per hour. I do agree with one point. He doesn't have a lot of experience pitching as a starting pitcher. Last year, they had to pitch him on limited innings. I'd like to see the guy pitch more consistently. But, here's the deal. If he pitches 200 innings next year and he's lights out, now the price goes sky high or goes even more. So I would explore it. I definitely would explore it because I think you got to be aggressive in this point. I think you got to be aggressive, and I think you have to take chances. I really do. So I would but you don't be stupid. You can't be stupid as well. So you gotta, and I trust a guy like David Stearns. So you look at everything, explore it. If you think it's too much, if you think it's gonna like blow up your farm system, don't do it, but still explore it. Well, there's guys, okay, I see, a couple of you mentioning who you would trade for, Kyle Tucker. There's a couple guys who I'd be willing to trade, but a couple really untouchables. Let me kind of go over that with you real Mets. Jet Williams is a guy that I would definitely try to capitalize on his value. I really would. I mean, the guy, he's a highly ranked prospect. I just have a little trouble when guys of his stature, and I'm not saying he can't be successful, but he's 5'6". So I mean, that kind of worries me. He's already had an injury last year. He's a shortstop slash outfielder. And again, he's one of our top prospects, but he's a guy I would put on the block for the right player. For the right player. Very important. So, I just brought up the top prospects. So if I was putting a package together, this will be a mock package. Let's just say Garrett Crochet. You're gonna have to give up a lot. So if you put a package together, and this is what I think the White Sox would probably be looking for. So guys, I'd be willing to trade. Jet Williams, and I'm not a prospect expert, so I might say someone you're like, oh my God, you trade him? Okay, so Jet Williams, Jeremy Rodriguez, Jesus Baez. So Jesus Baez is top 14. Jeremy Rodriguez is top 7, and Jet Williams is our number 2 prospect. So I would construct a package around that for Crochet. These are nice guys. Guys I would not touch: Carson Bench, Ryan Clifford, obviously Brandon Sprout. That would be crazy. I want to see Ronnie Mauricio play in the worst way. I want to see Blade Tidwell, Nolan McLean, Jonah Tong, Jonathan Stantucci, Luis Angel Acuna, Marco Vargas. Hey, we can trade him. But those are really the guys I just mentioned that I wouldn't want to trade. So how many? So that's Sprout. Oh, and Gilbert too. Gilbert, I think we might need a center fielder at some point. So I'm interested, and I like the way he plays. He's a hard-nosed player. So Sprout, Gilbert, Clifford, Benj, Mauricio, Tidwell, McLean, Tong, Santucci, Acuna. Yeah, out of the top 15, those would be like the guys I'd really kind of want to hold on to. We got a lot of short guys in the top prospects. I see explosive. You're right. Acuna and Jet are 5'7". Yeah, depending on like which report you look at, you'll see Jet Williams 5'6". You'll see Drew Gilbert 5'8". Acuna 5'8". We got a lot of short guys, but Acuna is a guy, and you cannot understate this. Acuna is a guy with good pedigree, and I love I just love his whole demeanor. I mean, the guy's got all the confidence in the world, and that means a lot. That he's got a lot of confidence in his abilities, and he's got a lot of talent as well. I just like his mental makeup. People underestimate mental makeup, but you could have the most talented guy in the world. If he's not confident in himself, if he doesn't have the correct mental makeup, baseball is one of the most mental games out there. So that's why I always, when I trade for players and acquire players, I always say the same thing. Talent. Can they play in New York? Are they good in the postseason? Because I want to win a World Series. I always look, and it has something to do with mental makeup. Great point. Great point. Explosive. Mauricio and Acuna learning from Soto is going to be so huge. And Alvarez, too. Francisco Alvarez, he's already commented multiple times on social media how he'd be so excited to play with Soto and Vladdy Guerrero Jr. So, I mean, you got a lot of the kids. A lot of the kids are so excited to play with a guy like Juan Soto, a legend. A legend at 26 years old. I mean, this guy has done so much at the age of 26. It is just phenomenal. And I said already how he's going to impact the lineup. But you're right, how he's going to impact the organization, the farm system, the kids. I mean, it is super, super important to have. I remember, reading seeing the documentaries and, reading all the stories, like, and this is, even about the Yankees. I don't know if I should say this, but Ruth and Garrick, how all these players have impact on the next generation. You come up and you see a Juan Soto, and you come up and years ago you see a guy like Jacob DeGrom. I mean, this is what the kids need. This is what the kids need, and they need a leader. Juan Soto, his leadership skills, I'm not so sure about right now, but I know the kid at a very young age won a World Series, and I know last year, anytime this guy's in the playoffs, he's got ice in his veins. So he's a guy that I really trust. He's a guy that I'm looking forward to seeing, and he's the perfect thing to say. Explosive, great point. His impact on the young kids. I don't know why. I was so confident. All of you who follow my channel, follow my videos, look at how many videos I had of us signing Juan Soto. In fact, I put out a video on Friday congratulating Steve Cohen because I felt that we were going to sign him. So I put a congratulatory video on Friday to Steve Cohen, and I also put a done deal video on Saturday that we were going to sign Soto. So I was ultra confident the whole time because I was basing it on what made sense and what kind of the clues were. And also, there were a couple, explosive, that guy on X who supposedly had the inside source. He swore the Mets were going to sign him. And I guess he was right. Good guess. But the reason why I'm saying that is I have a lot of confidence that Alonso is going to re-sign with the Mets. I have a lot of confidence. They just have to come together on the right number. That's what it's all about. The right number. You look at it. We want Alonso. Stearns wants Alonso, and Alonso wants New York, especially with Soto in the lineup. It is such an attractive it's such an attractive destination. And Pete Alonso, no matter where he goes, it will never be New York. It will never be Queens. We love Pete like nobody else. If he signs a contract and he goes somewhere else as a mercenary, let's say he goes for the Cubs and he bats 220 and he slugs 25 home runs and he doesn't live up to his expectation, they will kill him. I'm not kill him, you know what I mean? They will kill him, crush him in terms of booing him. And that is not, I feel, a situation Pete wants to be in. This is a situation where he's in Queens, he's in New York. It is the perfect situation. He's a homegrown Met. Alonso first, then Soto. Here's the deal. I don't think the Yankees are going to go after Alonso for one reason. One big reason. One big reason. The biggest reason that they don't want to go after Alonso is they don't want to lose for the second time to Steve Cohen. They already lost. They already look silly. They already look weak. How would they lose? How would they look if they lost two times to the supposed little brother? Honestly, I don't think they're going to want to deal with it. I don't think they're going to want to deal with it. Just like the Mets didn't touch Aaron Judge, and it's not for this reason. It was just more out of respect, and I think they were gearing up for Soto. But the Yankees don't want to look bad twice. Do not want to look bad twice. You want to get into a bidding war with Steve Cohen again? It didn't work out well the last time. And it's not like Soto. Soto, you thought, oh, if the Yankees are close, he's going to go to the Yankees because he played there. That's not the situation with the Mets. He played for the Mets. He has honestly a passion for playing in Queens. So it's not like, oh, the Yankees don't have to beat the Mets number. I believe the Yankees would have to outbid the New York Mets for the services of Alonso. And that's why I don't think that's going to happen. Richard, you're right. 34 home runs and 88 RBIs isn't that good. You're right. It's not that good. It's not that good. I'm not saying it's good. Last year, I killed Alonso. I killed him. I was on him all the time. He wanted to be paid like a superstar. He didn't play like a superstar, but there were factors around it. I 100% think he was pressing because of the contract. Pressing because of the contract, number one. Number two, and I forgot who sent me the video. I still think he didn't recover from the injury that when Charlie Morton hit him the year before in 2023 in June, when he had a horrible June when he came back, never was the same. He was never the same after that injury. I'm hoping the Mets identify that because it was on X about how his wrist, when he swings, it's completely different than before 2023. Mechanics are off. Mechanics are off. That's why I think at the end of the year, he started going oppo because, he hasn't been pulling the ball like he had, in the first 4 years, first 3.5 years. That's my analysis. That's what I observed. But it's fixable. It is certainly fixable. And also, too, if Pete's more patient, like I said, he's got an ability going to opposite field that not many people in baseball have. That ability to go to center field, that ability to expand, basically the park. He can go anywhere. Chris, what's up, my friend? Good to see you, Chris. Good to see you. And you're right. I did not want Alonso back. But now if he can relax, let's bring him back. He's good for 40, 115, and that's not easy to get. Plus, he plays every day. Chris, I'm really right with you. With Soto, I think it's going to have such a big impact. And if you got a guy with a ceiling like Pete has to hit 40 home runs, like you mentioned, not many guys have that ceiling. The Santander guy, like, he's a guy who just had one good year, 44 home runs. Like, I take Pete over him any day of the week, and he's probably going to get paid similar to what Pete gets paid. And like I said, I'd rather have Pete any day of the week. But just to get back to the Juan Soto signing. I mean, I'm just interested in seeing how like everybody's impacted. Philly fans upset, Braves fans upset, but not as upset. Yankees fans irate, very, very upset. But that now there's a question. Now there's a question. Is this bad for baseball? Like I was watching a Yankee fan, and his justification for why it's bad for baseball is if it's a big market player and they don't go to the Yankees or they don't go to the Dodgers and they go to the Mets, that's bad for baseball because they're not going to those two teams. I mean, that was silly. But the Mets spending $765 million. Do I think that's bad for baseball? Do I think that's going to have negative consequences down the road? The first question is, do I think it's bad for baseball? I would have to say, I counter it. Was it bad for baseball last year when Ohtani was paid $700 million and the Dodgers went to the World Series and won? How did baseball suffer? The Dodgers played the Yankees in the World Series. Honestly, I think MLB made a crap ton of money. The playoffs last year were the highest rated playoffs in quite some time. Now you got the New York Mets in a market like New York spending on marquee players. They're spending to win. Do I think it's hurting baseball? No. This should be motivating other teams to spend money. I think it's good for baseball. I think when Steve Cohen came in to when he was initiated, when he became an owner, that's what motivated other teams to up their payroll, to become more aggressive. This is good for baseball. It's good for the players, in my opinion. So, I mean, I might just be saying that because I'm a Mets fan and I'm looking at it from a Mets perspective. I'll give you that. But I saw what happened last year with the Dodgers, and it was good for baseball. Everybody made money. Everybody was happy. And also, too, you saw many teams were in it. Many teams were in it. And the Dodgers, although they spent a lot of money, and I'm going to say this all the time, no matter how much you spend, you can always be beat. You can always be beat. So, no, I say this serves as motivation. This serves as motivation. Yeah, and Alvarez, another player, Francisco Alvarez. He's the guy that last year kind of went out of sight, out of mind. I think he was injured as well. Alvarez is a guy, yeah, he could pop 25 home runs. If you go up and down the New York Mets lineup, almost every player has 25 home run ability. Almost every player. I mean, Nemo, Lindor, Vientos, Alonso, Soto, obviously, Alvarez, that's 6 right there. Jose Siri, that's 7. It depends who you play at second base. Second base, McNeil, probably not. Well, we hit 24 home runs when in 2019 when the ball was kind of juiced. So, I mean, that might not. So, you got 7 guys. You got like 7, 8 guys who can pop 25 home runs. Yeah, Marte. Like, so you got 2 guys in your lineup who don't have the ability to pop 25 home runs. But Marte, this is his last year with the Mets. So the Mets are most likely going to upgrade. See, folks, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. hot stove. We just got Juan Soto, and we're just getting better. I love us that we got Juan Soto. I love that we got Juan Soto. Oh my God. Chris, this is such a good comment. So I was working most of the day, so I saw a couple of YouTube clips of Michael K, and I actually saw this one. So out of nowhere, Michael K brings up how much better A Rod was than Soto, and Passan said A Rod was better, but not so much better, and K got really cranky. It was funny. Yeah, it's right. Like, basically on the radio today, Michael K was debating Jeff Passan because Passan was trying to argue, saying Soto came to the Mets because of other reasons than money. And then all of a sudden, K, he was getting angry, starts going, well, A-Rod is better than Soto. Like, A-Rod has nothing to do with the conversation. It's like, I got to one-up you. Let me bring up a guy from 25 years ago. So, yeah, Kay was extremely upset today, and Kay was just a good representative of how Yankee fans are. Yankee fans want to believe it's all about the money, but Juan Soto went to the New York Mets for a couple of different reasons. Money was very important, yes, but as we see, the contracts weren't that different. Blue Jays 760 they offered. Yankees offered 760. Mets offered 765. On the surface, not that different. And there were opt-outs too after 5 years for the Yankees, signing bonuses. So the New York Mets deserve credit in different respects. Alex Cohen deserves credit. Steve Cohen deserves credit. They brought so many people into the fold. This was a team effort, a family effort. Juan Soto, he's a family man, and Alex Cohen and Steve Cohen showed the Mets to be a family-oriented organization, and that was so important. And also, too, the suite. I can't believe this was a thing. I mean, I really can't believe this was a thing. But the Yankees, not only did they not match the Mets, but they refused to give him a suite after his family already had trouble, with the security. They still refused to give this man a suite. And in my opinion, if I'm the owner, and I know Soto's mad at me because we didn't have that relationship that he wanted, and I know he's upset because security gave his chef and gave his family a hard time, and now he's asking for a suite to kind of avoid these instances in the future. If I don't give him that suite, I know that signing Soto is going to be very, very difficult. I just don't understand why the Yankees couldn't do it. The thing is, they said that they never gave Derek Jeter a suite. They never gave past Yankees a suite. Who the hell cares? It's about now, 2025 and beyond. The Mets, you know what? They said, Juan Soto, you want a suite for your family? Here's a suite. Now, there is a financial thing. Like, suites go from like 1,000 or 1,500 to $13,000 a game, right? So if you have a suite for 80 something games and it's $13,000, that's an extra $1 million. That's an extra $1 million. So I'm not saying it's a little thing, but in the course of a $760 million contract, if the guy wants a suite and you really want him, and I know I might be overlooking the other teammates and stuff like that. But at this point, I really want Juan Soto. So, that's also another thing that I didn't understand why the Yankees couldn't do. Tio, good point. Great point. I honestly, this should have been the response when Michael K brought that up to Jeff Passan. As you're right, Soto hasn't juiced. A-Rod did a lot. That would have been the perfect response because even when he was signed in Texas, they don't know when he started juicing. They don't know when he started taking steroids. MLB didn't start testing until in the mid 2000s. He could have been juicing from Seattle. So that is an excellent, excellent, excellent point. And Richard, you wrote how screw Jeter. The Yankees, Cashman, you're right. They mishandled a lot of their premier players. Jeter, they told Jeter go kind of take a walk, go look at what's out there, and come back. They gave Jeter a hard time. Aaron Judge, they mistreated Aaron Judge. They tried to get him to sign that 7-year, $213 million contract where he would be being paid, I think, $29 million a year. Literally tried to rob Aaron Judge. That would have been the heist of the century. The only other contracts that would have rivaled that robbery would be Ozzie Albies and maybe Acuna. Those two guys are severely underpaid as well for their production, but Aaron Judge, you're talking about one of the best players in all of baseball. A lot of people say it's Ohtani, it's Judge, and then it's Soto. So if Judge is the second best player in baseball and you're paying him under $30 million, obviously he would be severely underpaid. So, you're absolutely right. The Yankees and Cashman haven't really treated their players, especially marquee players, the right way. Now I'm wondering what we think, right? What do we think here? Last year, and I said that we had to go full pedal to the metal because of a couple of factors. A couple young up and coming teams I felt weren't there yet, like Arizona, not there yet. The Reds, not there yet. We had a big opportunity. Brewers, I felt like they're still up and coming, not there yet. We saw the Brewers got a couple of good plays. The guy Churio, the leadoff guy. I mean, that guy's going to he's 20 years old. Guy looks like he's going to be a superstar. So there's a lot of teams that, in a couple of years will have developed. But then also the Atlanta Braves, they had a whole crap ton of injuries. Like Atlanta, they're going to be back this year. They're going to have a lot of guys back who were injured. But, here's the deal. With Juan Soto on our team, I'm not afraid of anybody. The Phillies, I already think we're better than it. With Juan Soto, with some more pitchers, Atlanta, a team like Atlanta, I just want to make sure that when our roster is complete, that adding a guy like Juan Soto really helps out a lot. It helps out a ton. But before I say if we're better than Atlanta, I really got to see how we complete this roster. Chris, I love your philosophy. I love it. I'm a Mets fan since '84. I'm out for blood. I saw the Yankees take Doc and Darryl and win with them. The Yankees stuck it to, time and time again. It's payback time. That's a good point. How nice, how amazing would it feel to win with Juan Soto, Carlos Mendoza, Holmes. I mean, like literally, we got a bunch of Yankees on a team. Jonathan Loizaga. We'll have 5, 6, 7 Yankees on the team, and we win a World Series. That makes it that much sweeter. That's a good point, Chris. That's a good point. And that out for blood mentality, the Mets never had that. With the Wilpon, the Mets never had that. We were the most passive, team in all of baseball. In fact, everybody says we were a laughing stock. We made a lot of laughing stock moves. I'll tell you that. 6 years ago, big move was Dylan Betances, that signing. Those days are over. It goes from Dylan Betances to Juan Soto 5, 6 years later. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. And I'm still confident. Mania, Pete Alonso, that's all in the fold. I think those guys want to come back. Mania wants to come back. And if I had to choose between Mania and choose between Severino, I think myself and a lot of fans would choose Mania. He was more talented. Oh wow. All right. Oh, don't. All right, and I got some more good news. Some more good news for all of you who gamble a bit and kind of believe in that. So the Mets, they leapfrog the Yankees with the addition of Juan Soto in terms of them being predicted to win the World Series. They moved from plus 1200 to plus 750 late Sunday night after news broke. The Mets are behind only the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Atlanta Braves, the team that I was trying to figure out if we're better than. Okay, so literally, that's how we're being viewed right now. Literally, we are the third best team in all of baseball in terms of potentially winning the World Series. Wow, that's what a guy like Soto does for you. But also, they have the Cohen factor. They know Cohen and Stearns are going to do anything and everything possible. So the Yankees, they were plus 750. They were plus 750 when they had Soto. So they went from plus 750 to plus 850. And just for anyone who wants his historical reference, at plus 750, the Mets have their shortest preseason World Series odds since 2008. So that was the last time that their odds were this low. So I mean, if a lot of times you don't want to bet on a favorite, you'd bet on more of a long shot so you can win more money. So the Mets might not be that long shot team, but it's good for us. It tells us that the Mets are making those strides. They're improving themselves. They just continue. They need to continue to improve. We just need those pitchers. But that was pretty interesting. You always want to see your team looked at in high regards. So apparently, with Juan Soto, and I keep seeing the payroll at different amounts. So this site that I'm looking at, with Soto's $51 million annual average salary on the books, it's saying the team's payroll is around $240 million, $240 million. So if the Cohen tax is around 300 million, we still have about 60 million to play with. And if we want to get to the same number that our payroll was at last year, we have about 100 million to play with. So it depends what David Stearns and the Mets want to accomplish. So, let's figure this out. You had $240 million. Alonso, he's going to command, everybody's saying, between 25 and 28 million. So if you had 240 now, you put another 25 million, or let's say 28 million, that gets you to 268. 268. Then Manaya is going to he's going to get about 25, 26 million. That's going to get you about, 292, 293. So, I mean, those two players, and honestly, I don't think that we're going to have to worry about the tax, because if you're going all in, I don't think we're going to have to worry about it. But that's just an update on the current payroll situation. Yeah, everybody seems to think the Yankees, who lost out on Soto, loom as a potential threat to flip the script and grab Alonso. The other teams with deep pockets that are lingering around Alonso, not that they put public interest in, but people are connecting the dots, are the Mariners and the Giants. But the Giants just signing Adames, just signing Chapman. I'm not sure if that changes their game plan. And also too, I'm not really sure Pete would want to go to San Fran, hit in that park. If Pete had trouble hitting home runs in Citi Field, he would definitely have trouble hitting in that park. The bottom line, folks, there's a window here. There's a window. Lindor is 30 years old. Those two guys right now, those are your superstars. You got Lindor, you have Soto, and if you get Alonso back, he's 30 years old too. So 30-year-old Lindor, 30-year-old Pete Alonso. This is the prime right now of their careers. This is pedal to the metal. Now, the good thing is we're going to be currently developing our youth. So, even though that these guys will be getting older, the good thing about David Stearns, being in this organization is we're always going to be developing prospects. That's what the Dodgers do. The Dodgers always do that. And that's why the Dodgers, they're a team that's not afraid to make a trade. They're not afraid to get a Scherzer, a Turner at the deadline, a Jack Flaherty at a deadline, Tyler Glass now. That's where you got to really envy a team like the Dodgers. They can make all these big time trades, Mookie Betts, and still have a bunch of top prospects. It's funny, like Carlos Mendoza in the press conference when they asked him about who is your favorite Mets acquisition so far, and he joked around Frankie Montas and Jose Siri. But let's see what Montas. I mean, like Frankie, he's a guy like I haven't been so high on, but if the Mets could turn him around or improve what they did with him with the Brewers, hopefully there's a good ceiling there. Jose Siri, believe it or not, I believe there is a ceiling with him, a good ceiling. You're only paying him $2 million for Gold Glove award winning defense, and the guy's got pop too, decent pop. All right, so let's see. Chris, yeah, good point. So it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm not really thinking right. So you're right. I don't think Cohen gives a damn about the tax. We have the best owner because he is a fan. Yankee fans are going to hate the Mets because we are taking over the city and the sport. Well said, my friend. Well said. Well said. We are. We completely are. And you're right. He doesn't give a damn about the tax. In fact, I opened up tonight's live stream by saying when I looked at an old clip of Steve Cohen, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, and they asked, why did he buy the Mets? Was it a philanthropic venture? And he said, yes. My whole goal is not to make money. My whole goal is to make millions of Mets fans happy. Oh, man. All right, folks. I'm gonna get going because I gotta be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, I want to try to, since we got a lot of stuff to talk about every single night, I want to try to do as many live streams as possible. If you are new and you're not currently subscribed, hit the subscribe button so you could stay tuned. But yeah, I want to try to do some more live streams. I just started doing live streams again a couple of days ago. So I think now that we're out of the Juan Soto, I thought it was more efficient to do Juan Soto videos, but Juan Soto's a Met. So now we got to talk about building the team. And I think it's good to do it together because everybody in here, everybody has great ideas. A lot of great ideas, and I appreciate each and every one of them. So stay tuned. Tomorrow I'm working till 4, so it'll probably be later on at night. So thank you all. Like the video if you didn't get a chance, or like the live stream. Have a great night. Get some good sleep. I haven't got some sleep yet, so I'm going to get some sleep before my work tomorrow. I will speak to everybody tomorrow. Again, thank you, everyone. Have a great night.